They didn't quit, neither will you, before you take a single step into today, before you check what the world is doing, before the weight of your responsibilities lands on your chest, before the voice in your head starts listing everything that's wrong, everything that's unfinished, everything that feels too big, too far, too hard. Before all of that, I need you to hear this. Every single person you admire was once exactly where you are right now. Stuck, uncertain, tired, wondering if any of it was worth it, and they kept going anyway. That's the whole secret, that's the entire formula. Not talent, not connections, not perfect timing. They kept going on the days it made no sense to keep going, and that is why you know their names today. Think about Oprah Winfrey for a moment. Born into poverty in rural Mississippi, raised in such difficult conditions that the world had already written a story for her, and it wasn't a good one. She was told early in her career that she was unfit for television. She was fired from her first job as a news anchor. The woman who would go on to build a media empire that reaches hundreds of millions of people around the world was told, to her face, that she didn't belong on screen. What if she had believed them? What if she had let that one verdict, from one person on one bad day, define the rest of her story? She didn't. She got up, she went back, she kept showing up in rooms that didn't always want her, kept using her voice when the world tried to silence it, kept betting on herself when nobody else would. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, she built something that had never existed before. Your rejection is not your ending, it is your redirection. Now let me bring it closer to home. Think about the student who stayed up until 2 a.m. studying for an exam. They weren't sure they'd pass. Who woke up at 6 to review notes one more time. Who walked into that hall, hands shaking, heart pounding, and sat down anyway, not because they felt ready, but because they showed up. Because they did not quit the night before, when quitting would have been the easiest thing in the world. That student is someone's inspiration right now. Maybe that student is you. Or think about the parent, working 2 jobs, running on 4 hours of sleep, giving everything to children who don't yet understand the sacrifice. Coming home exhausted, sitting at the kitchen table, wondering if it's making any difference at all. And then a small hand touches theirs and a small voice says, "I love you." And somehow they find the strength to do it all again tomorrow. That is not weakness. That is the most extraordinary kind of strength that exists on this earth. Whatever your version of that table looks like, whatever moment you sit in at night and wonder if you can keep going, know this. The fact that you're still sitting there means you haven't given up. And not giving up is the foundation of everything. Consider Thomas Edison, a man who failed over 1,000 times trying to invent the light bulb. 1,000 times, not twice, not 10 times, 1,000 documented attempts that didn't work. And when a reporter asked him how it felt to fail so many times, Edison looked at him and said something that should be tattooed on the inside of every ambitious person's mind. "I have not failed, I have just found 1,000 ways that won't work." That is a man who had fundamentally changed his relationship with failure. He didn't see every setback as evidence that he was wrong. He saw it as data, information, one more thing eliminated, one step closer to the thing that would work. How are you seeing your failures? Are you treating them as proof that you don't belong? Or are you treating them as proof that you're in the process? Because those two perspectives will lead you to completely different lives. Let me tell you about a young man nobody knew, working in a factory, dreaming of something bigger. He had no degree, no wealthy family, no head start. Every morning he woke up before dawn, went to a job that paid barely enough to survive, and spent every spare minute, every lunch break, every evening, every stolen hour, learning, teaching himself, reading everything he could find about the field he wanted to break into, writing, practicing, building skills in the dark before anyone was ready to pay him for them. Years passed. Nothing seemed to change on the outside, and the people around him started to whisper, "When are you going to be realistic? When are you going to settle down? You've been chasing this for years and nothing has happened." And then one morning, not a dramatic morning, not a lightning bolt moment, one ordinary morning, an email arrived. An opportunity, small at first, barely worth mentioning, but he was ready for it, because he had spent years getting ready for it when no one was watching. And that one small opportunity became 2, and 2 became 5, and 5 became a career, and a career became a life he had once only imagined on the back of a factory lunch break. Preparation in private always precedes recognition in public. The world will not always see what you're doing in the quiet seasons, but the quiet seasons are where champions are made. Think about J.K. Rowling, a single mother, clinically depressed, living on government assistance in Edinburgh, Scotland, writing a story about a boy wizard on napkins and scraps of paper in cafes because she couldn't afford to heat her apartment. She submitted that story, Harry Potter, to 12 different publishers. 12. And 12 times she was told no. Too long. Too unusual. Children don't want to read books that thick. The 13th publisher said yes. And the rest is history so large it almost doesn't feel real. But what feels very real is this. 12 rejections. 12 doors closed. 12 times she could have stopped. 12 times she could have said, they're right. This isn't good enough. I'm not good enough. She didn't stop. And this morning, somewhere in the world, a child is reading Harry Potter for the first time, eyes wide, completely lost in a world that almost never existed, because one woman refused to let 12 rejections be the end of her story. How many rejections are you at right now? How many closed doors? Because if it's fewer than 12, you haven't even reached the point where Rolly Shallows keep going, here is a truck chat no boy push on motivational posters, because it's uncomfortable. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not filled with inspiration. It is filled with boring, repetitive, unglamorous work. It is filled with mornings where you don't feel like it. With weeks where nothing seems to be moving. With seasons where you question everything you thought you knew about yourself and your potential. Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player who ever lived, was cut from his high school varsity team. He went home and cried. Then he got up the next day and he practiced. And the day after that. And the day after that. Not because he knew he'd become Michael Jordan. He didn't know that. He just knew that the only response available to him was to get better. And getting better required showing up every single day, whether it felt meaningful or not. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to climb the next step. Think about the person who started going to the gym and quit after 2 weeks because they didn't see results, and then the person who started at the same time felt exactly the same frustration and kept going for 6 months anyway. Same starting point, completely different outcomes. Not because one had better genetics or more time or a superior plan, because one of them treated the absence of immediate results as a reason to stop, and the other treated it as part of the process. The results you want are on the other side of the period when it doesn't look like it's working. And what about you? You, reading this, listening to this, right now. What chapter are you in? Because here's what I know. You're still in the book. The chapter isn't over. The story isn't finished. And no matter how dark the last few pages have been, no matter how many times you've read back over the losses, the mistakes, the things that didn't go the way you planned, the pen is still in your hand. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. 27 years. And he walked out, not broken, not bitter, not empty, but ready. Ready to lead. Ready to forgive. Ready to rebuild an entire nation. He said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Let that land. It always seems impossible until it's done. Whatever you are trying to do right now that feels impossible, someone, somewhere, has felt exactly that way about something and done it anyway, and what felt impossible became real, what felt too big became finished. What felt out of reach became the story they told to inspire the next person who needed to hear it. You are somebody's inspiration. You just don't know it yet. So here is what you're going to do today. You're going to get up. Not because you feel like it, you're going to move. Not because it's easy. You're going to do the one thing today, just one, that your future self will thank you for. You're going to treat every obstacle as information, not as a verdict. You're going to stop comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You're going to remember that the people you admire most were not born extraordinary, they became extraordinary. One ordinary morning at a time. Mornings exactly like this one. So breathe, stand up, roll your shoulders back. Today will not be perfect. Perfect is not the goal. Progress is the goal. Showing up is the goal. Being the kind of person who does the work even when the work is hard, that is the goal. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not too much, and you are not too little. You are exactly the right person, in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time, if you decide right now that today matters. It does matter. You matter. Now go prove it. Let's go.